Arizona State Legislature hearing on election fraud, Part 7. You're watching Jazz That's Me. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to share, like, comment, and subscribe.
And then after tests, so everybody can see that the board of supervisors and the county elections that see this cannot. So what you're hearing is false. Obviously, or is it during that test? Can they find the anomalies in there during that basically what I always call a dog and pony show? Would that show up in one of these tests?
In a forensics examination?
No, just see, come here and look at this is how we certify the machines, calibrate the machine, whatever, zero it out, this and that. Obviously, these anomalies would not be showing up during that moment, correct?
Correct, and it's our understanding that Dominion had a software update at least in a couple states. I'm not sure about Maricopa County, but like the day before the election.
Representative Bartow, any questions?
I did have one question. Thank you, Colonel. Excellent information. You described web traffic increase during the election as opposed to how do you measure the increase?
Are you talking just in on the Dominion server network?
Yes.
They just look at volume of data that's moving through the pipes. And I'm not our hacker team they're the experts. I just kind of the big picture know how to dance it, but they do measure volume traffic. Matter of fact, on the Frankfurt server on election day, there was a German cybersecurity professor that was noting that the increase in traffic was, and he related it back to COVID and said, we haven't even hit our indoors winter season yet, and we've hit the highest traffic. And he specifically noted that one of the reasons was the American elections.
Was it an exponential increase?
I don't think it's an exponential, but I think it went from 7 point something terabytes a second to 10 terabytes. So it went to a lot of, a pretty big increase, not an exponential though.
Okay, to my unqualified mind, I don't know exactly what that means, but it sounds big.
The volume jumped up pretty significantly on November 3rd and 4th to that particular server in the pipes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Colonel Waldron, so essentially about 33, 34, 35% increase?
I would have to go back and look at the numbers, but
I mean, from 7 to 10?
Ballpark.
Yeah, that's big.
I can't really.
Yeah, all right, very good. Senator Gowan, do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Colonel, talking about the SGO system, and that was, you said Hugo Chavez, he was partial owner in that. Now, that's the beginning of Dominion?
SGO was a separate company, but Dominion acquired Sequoia Systems that was spun off of SGO. And they also acquired Premier, which was spun off of Diebold, but they all have the common core, the common code really goes back to SGO. And that one org chart that I put up there kind of shows the licensing agreements that go back and forth between SGO and Dominion. So it's the licensing for the software and the code.
So it still stems from the SGO system.
That's correct.
So, and then you're stating Dominion owns the data. So does that mean when they see the vote count that they own that, not the county's estate?
They process it. They retain it. It's in their backup servers.
So they have the votes themselves as well when that's supposed to be property of the state.
They've got the data. They've got the voter data, voter registrations.
And then you said Dominion sits on the board of Mr. Krabs. Is that right?
That was on the CISA website.
When you say the board, what is the board?
It was their Election Security Advisory Council.
Thank you, sir. color. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Let's see. Representative Roberts, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colonel Walton, earlier you were talking about the methods via internet and internal methods as far as, I think you used the term, I forgot exactly how you said it. There was basically methods from the internet and then also internally that there could be manipulation of votes. So my question is do you have any knowledge of were the machines in Arizona connected to the internet at any point in time? And if not, or if so, are there logs internally in these machines that if we were to be able to subpoena these machines and demand them so they could be examined, could we see all of those changes that were made?
So when you watch CBS, CNN, any of the mainstream media where they've got the live vote updates, that data is passed live. I mean, it's as the votes are updated. So it's, nobody's getting in a plane and flying the hard drive to New York. I mean, it's uploaded, it's connected. So it is connected to the internet, and whether it's locally, I mean, they can move votes with the cards, the voter cards. Those can be preloaded in laptops with the software that could be interdicted and upload fake votes, as in the allegation from Pima County, in batches of 1,000. They can scan blank ballots, and then the administrator can allocate that batch of blank ballots to one candidate or another, either at 100% or any percentages that they allocate in the, according to the user's manual.
So to that point, just indulge me just a moment. Would you say that is what we saw in the 2018 election with Governor Bevin, where we actually saw on television, real time, the movement of some 500 votes from one candidate to another? I mean, it was so stark, you saw them go down on one and up on the other on the exact number. Would that be a manifestation of what you're talking about?
So the working hypothesis from our counterparts on that, because they've worked out and watched it, and they actually went to Kentucky to assist the team there, was that was a server level interdiction. So they went up to the server, downloaded a CSV file, changed the votes, and re-uploaded it.
All right, thank you. Representative Roberts.
So just to kind of tack on to what we were just discussing, it's my understanding, because there was an article here in Arizona from the Arizona Daily Independent, there was a quote-unquote whistleblower that was talking about issues that they had observed. And so one of the things they were talking about was that the data from the machines was being moved via the hard drive. So what you just described as far as the real-time data being uploaded and all that stuff, just for the layman, that same type of manipulation, whether you plug in an Ethernet cable or what have you, or you're doing it on a user interface, that same type of malfeasance could be accomplished in that method as well.
And I think in looking at these systems, we identified, almost a dozen ways that you could inject or interdict to manipulate votes.
On that note, you said earlier that pretty much all of these machines have vulnerabilities. So is there any system out there that you're aware of that is worth exploring, or do we just need to go back to the paper ballot?
There is MIT developed a system with some capital infusion. It's a system called Votes, VOATZ, and it's a blockchain type system. Again, it's when I first became aware of this, I went and talked to some friends of mine who were bank presidents, and I said, okay, why can't we apply banking principles? Because if you want anything done right, you go talk to the money people. That's who protects your stuff. And he said, oh yeah, and it's an app. You can do it as an app with tie it in with real ID and a blockchain type solution, or the next generation solution. But there are systems, and I believe the votes system is deployed right now. I believe and I know West Virginia is one that I
Senator Allen, any questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Please
Chairman.
proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it. Thank you here today. I'd like to go back to the Board of Supervisors letter where they talk about certifying the Maricopa County election. And they have 5 points that they make for the reason why they call this a reliable election. And my concern is, of course, over the Dominion tabulation equipment. They said it was vetted by a bipartisan equipment certification advisory committee before the contract was finalized. And as required by law, the committee tested the functionality and accuracy of tabulation equipment before it was used in any Arizona election. Well, after listening to your testimony, that does not give me any confidence, because the machines, of course, can perform very accurately. It's after the fact, after the election starts, after the ballot is starting to be put into the machine, that these problems start arising. So is that accurate to say that this should not give us confidence about this being a reliable election?
Ma'am, anything that is software-based can be manipulated and changed with a click of a button. Or, you got 2 USB drives, plug one in, and you get one algorithm. You pull it out, you plug another one in, you get a different algorithm. And we also believe on the connectedness. These can be pushed down from the top and shifted down. So think of it like a casino or a state lotto. Whoever owns the eye in the sky, you can control the margins, and that's really, I think, what we're looking at.
Well, certainly from your testimony, I can see that. And I have one more question, if I could, Mr. Chairman.
I believe Senator Borelli has it to that point.
All right, go ahead.
All right, please proceed.
Well, I was going to switch down to the 1% early ballots that they did, and I had a question about that. So, Sonny, if you have something to what I said before, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Colonel, so basically what you're saying, for example, since the techs are already there on site during the process, so if a machine jams up and naturally they call the tech over there to go fix the unjam, they could literally, without anybody noticing, because they're the techie people, they could stick a thumb drive in there and upload, change the numbers, manipulate, whatever.
There was an affidavit in Pennsylvania from, I think it was last week. A gentleman supervisor had a Ziploc bags full of USB drives, and they noted that he was inserting the USB drives into the machines at a much higher rate than would be necessary or that they had seen in the past. So, yes, it's very, very.
So now I have it to that point. Forgive me, but what I think you're.
Thank you for watching my channel. Don't forget to subscribe.